Hey guys, so I know there's a lot of clickbait life-changing art advice videos on YouTube, and normally I just watch them and then get back to watching cat videos. But a while back I saw one that actually got me curious. So if you are new here, this channel had some mild success in 2016 to 2017. But unfortunately, I couldn't continue and I stopped uploading videos. This year I restarted the channel, which sounds exciting, right? And you'd think I would just pick up where I left off, keep uploading videos, and eventually, boom, things would work out. But this time, things were different. YouTube was different, and I was different. I hadn't drawn in years, and to be honest, I didn't really like my old art and videos. But more importantly, I'd lost this sense of fire. And what I mean by that is every now and then you catch fire in life and it feels like you're constantly kicking goals. Everything's just working out and you know where you're going. And this year, while I wouldn't say I was completely flying blind, I did have a path forward, but there were gaping holes that I needed to figure out. The first problem was my videos and my channel. I didn't like how it looked overall. I didn't like my branding. I didn't like my thumbnails, and it just had this overall mishmash feeling that looked really unprofessional, and I just didn't really like it. Now I could go on and on about video production or YouTube, but that's another story. So let's focus on the art. So the big elephant in the room was my art style, and I didn't like the unpolished look of some of my old artworks, and it definitely shows in some of my thumbnails for my videos. Like back then maybe it made sense, but now looking back I'm like, do I really want to click on this video? It looks so unpolished. The next problem I had was my tools. At the beginning of this year I switched from a Wacom tablet and Photoshop to Procreate and an iPad. And I know that like tools aren't everything, and that the skill of an artist is all about their eye and what they can see and how they can translate their style onto whatever tool they're using. But I'd be lying if I said there wasn't a learning curve. On top of that, I was super rusty. I hadn't drawn in a long time, so that was a lethal combo, and it just felt like I was a beginner all over again. And while it might sound exciting to be starting over, it was actually really daunting because there were just way too many possibilities, and a lot of times I found myself stuck in procrastination, questioning if I was doing the right thing or on the right path. So I needed a way to get through the procrastination, get better with my tools, improve my drawing skills, all the while finding a new art style and bringing it to the next level. Easy, right? So when I posted my first video back, someone commented on it recommending a channel called Struthless. And during one of my times where I was stuck in procrastination, I remembered that comment and I went to check out the channel, and that's when I found this video. Put simply, the advice was to draw the same thing over and over. And it sounds simple and boring, but the idea is to focus your energy so that you're not overwhelmed with choices, decisions, ideas, and possibilities. And this was perfect. At the time I was doing a lot of face doodles, as that's something I've always struggled with, so that became the thing, drawing females. And to make things a little harder, I decided to commit to doing it every day for 30 days and posting the results to Instagram. So the challenge was set. Draw a picture of a female every day for 30 days. The first week was easy, and I did a lot of paintings from reference, and it was really fun to work in a more realistic style again. But as I got to the 5th, 6th and 7th day, I started to get really bored of photocopying and realized that things needed to be switched up. The second week is when the challenge really began, and I was much more challenged to try to come up with my own original compositions. And sometimes I would use photos as reference for backgrounds and then try to put my own original character on top. And I feel like some of these paintings really did stretch me or push me to a new level, and there were some of my favorites during this week. Now week 3 was the most challenging, and to be honest, I really wanted to give up so many times during this week. And just the thought of another week beyond that I had to complete of drawings was actually really scary, and I almost did give up, but I did end up just taking a break for a weekend. One really hard part about this week was that I was getting really bored of what I was drawing, and so in order to switch things up, I decided to change the style that I was drawing in from female portraits to now more environment-like compositions like my old art style, but with a female character inside of it. So I guess it's arguable to say whether I broke the challenge or not. But it was interesting to see me switch back to my old style because I was so bored of a typical pinup or portrait style drawing. The fourth week was all a blur. Honestly, I was just relieved that I finished, and after that I really didn't want to draw anything for a really long time. I was burnt out and yeah, it just wasn't good. Now normally these videos finish with some triumphant ending where I overcome difficulty and I end up with lots of followers, I'm successful, famous and rich. But that was far from the case, and my experience wasn't exactly like Struthless's. In fact, I feel like some of the artworks I did near the end of the experience were pretty bad, and I'm kind of embarrassed to have them on my Instagram, but I'm keeping them up there for posterity. I kind of loosely stuck to the brief and wandered way off course. So was this advice really life-changing, and what did I actually learn? When I was in high school, I used to play basketball, and before games we'd all shoot around, warm up. And one day, one of my friends missed something ridiculous, like 10 shots in a row. And we were all laughing about it. And he just said something that I remember to this day, which was, "Don't worry, I'm getting the bad shots out of the way." Naturally, when the game came and he started shooting, everything started going in, and he'd gotten to the good shots. And this is exactly what happened with this challenge. So the first 7 days, looking back now, were the worst of the entire challenge. And sure, at the time I liked what I was drawing, but I had no idea the kinds of things that would come out weeks later. Some of my favorites like day 9, 19, 20 or 21 would have never been possible had I not gotten through those first 7 days. And it made me think that doing this challenge is almost like digging for treasure. If you stop digging, you won't find it. But if you keep digging, you can't imagine the kinds of treasures you'll find later on. And this can be applied to anything in life. There's magic in applying yourself to one thing and trying again and again. It forces you to dig deeper, approach things from new angles, and uncover things you never would have found had you just taken 1 or 2 shots at it. As long as you persist, eventually you'll get to the good stuff. Okay, so I know this one sounds really weird, but before I could learn this lesson, I had to unlearn something. And it's the mindset that comes with being an artist and creating art. And it's something that we've come to assume, and it's subconsciously become part of our psyche. And it's holding back so many artists out there. See, from a young age, we're taught that art is supposed to be fun. It's a hobby. And because of this, we get stuck as artists because we feel like we can't create something until we feel good, until we feel motivated, which means we get stuck waiting for motivation, unable to take action because we don't feel like it. But this challenge flew completely in the face of this. The first week was fun, but once I got to the second, third and fourth weeks, it was completely a chore, and I just found myself almost feeling like I was in, Groundhog Day or Edge of Tomorrow, where I was just sleeping, waking up, drawing, eating, and then sleeping again. It was so repetitive that I began to call this zombie mode, where regardless of how I was feeling, I just had to start with an empty mind and an unenthusiastic soul. And I know all of this sounds really depressing and negative, but I noticed something interesting. As long as I started and took some action towards a drawing, I'd started to find motivation, and this would snowball into more action and motivation. And this can be applied to everything, whether you're trying to improve as an artist, whether you're trying to study, or whether you're trying to get a project done, or just move forward in life, but you find yourself getting stuck countless times because of how you feel. Just remember, action over motivation, not the other way around. And that's why you should become a zombie. One reason for doing a challenge like this is the belief that quantity will eventually lead to quality. But this is something I actually disagree with. And I know on the internet a lot of people talk about quantity over quality, and it was a kind of a trend, especially with Gary Vee and all the hustle culture that's out there. People were saying just move fast, break things, just get a lot of work done, and eventually things will improve. And I understand the sentiment behind this. It's to get rid of perfectionism and to stop yourself from being stuck or procrastinating over small details. But through the 30 days, I realized there's a flaw in this. And the idea is that quantity over quality only works if with each iteration you're actually making steps to improve, to reflect on what you've done and make small improvements, even if just 1%. But I found, especially with the format of the challenge being 30 days and every single day drawing a new picture, I wasn't giving myself enough time to step back, reflect on what I was doing and figuring out ways to improve. And so many times I found myself falling into traps where I was just trying to get the easiest idea that I could execute out there. And I think that when this happens, you start just creating art for the sake of it, and it doesn't become something that is a learning experience or something that helps you build upon previous work to improve. So I'm not saying that his advice is completely wrong. I do understand why quantity over quality is important. And I still do believe that we do need to create more. We do need to create in quantity, but it needs to be over a time scale and at a rhythm that allows us to step back, reflect on what we're creating, and actually implement those 1% improvements so that we can grow and improve. Okay, wow, you're still here. Thanks for watching to this point. There is still one more piece of advice that I want to give, and it's not advice from his video. This is just my hot take on this whole life-changing art advice category, and hopefully you find it useful moving forward. So I spent a lot of time after the challenge thinking about what my experience was and if there was any types of life-changing nuggets that I could add. But ironically, I found myself getting stuck making this video and writing the script for it, which is stupid because, this video is supposed to be about getting stuck and breaking through procrastination. And that's when it dawned on me. I was so frustrated because I realized that fretting over this video was taking me away from doing the thing that I needed to do to improve as an artist, which is just do the art, do the thing. There's so many life-changing art advice videos or just life-changing advice videos out there on the internet, and they're all trying to give you that one thing or teach you that one thing that might help you figure out what you need to do. But you know what's really happening? You're just avoiding doing the thing that you need to do. And we all know what we need to do deep down secretly. We all know exactly what we need to do, but we're just avoiding doing it. Whether it be improving an art or a craft, or if it's a project you're working on, or even just something bigger than that, something that you've been putting off in your life that you need to do to move forward with it. For me, I've known for a real long time that if I wanted to improve as an artist, I need to learn to create my own custom brush set to allow me to create the kinds of art that I want to create. And especially because I was new with Procreate, it means that I would need to sit down with Procreate, learn how the brush system works, learn all those little settings that can be really dry and technical and quite boring. And on top of that, it means experimenting with those brushes in different artworks and seeing what effects they achieve. And this task isn't a simple task that takes like 10 minutes. It could take hours, and it's not a clean-cut process that is really simple or straightforward. So instead of continuing with the script while I was getting stuck, I put down this video and I spent time drawing this painting instead. And granted, it's not like super amazing, but for me, it's been a mini breakthrough because it's helped me see a bit beyond what I was creating before and how I could improve my artwork moving forward. But anyway, that's beside the point. The point is, stop watching this video and go do that uncomfortable thing that you need to do. That's how you change your art and hopefully your life.